Thank you so much, Mr. President. If I can, first of all, thank you for the invitation and thank you very much for your efforts.
It's 2 weeks to peace or terror for Ukraine, and the clock is ticking. After the major summit at the White House, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that security guarantees for Kyiv could be formalized within the next 10 days. And German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, part of the European delegation that went to Washington to lend support to Zelensky, said that a meeting between the leaders of Russia and Ukraine could happen in 2 weeks. The promise to find a solution made by US President Donald Trump and backed by key European allies has now given Ukraine hope. Hope that things will turn out well for Ukraine after almost 4 years of war. But that path to peace is not so easy and remains as fragile as ever. In fact, take a look at this picture on your screen right now. A large map of Ukraine with the occupied territories marked was on display in the Oval Office, where Trump and Zelensky began their talks. Zoom in and you will see something interesting. The map showed the entire eastern section of Ukraine shaded in pink to show the areas that are under Russian control. According to experts, Trump may have been trying to put pressure on Zelensky, perhaps pushing him towards the idea of territorial concessions in exchange for peace. We now know that all these issues, including the possible territorial exchange, will be a topic that will be discussed at the leader-level talks with mediation of Trump, that is during the future trilateral talks. But we perhaps couldn't help but wonder, what was the purpose of putting it there? It's hard to say for now. But from where we are sitting, it is a reminder of the pressure on Zelensky to trade land for peace right now. For now, we know that Zelensky has hailed the meeting as a major step forward towards ending Europe's deadliest war in 80 years. The mood at the Oval Office, where Trump hosted Zelensky, was surprisingly warm. There were handshakes, warm words, and pledges of support. A true picture of Western unity in the face of war. Perhaps quite different from the disastrous meeting at the Oval Office in February, where Trump had berated Zelensky publicly for the war. And this time, Trump promised security guarantees to Ukraine, something that Ukraine has been demanding for a very long time. Now, what form those guarantees will take remains unclear, as no details have been provided so far. But Zelensky insists they will be on paper within 10 days. But beyond the optics, the reality on the battlefield remains grim. Hours after the Washington meeting, Russia launched its largest aerial assault of the month on Ukraine. Reports say that 270 drones and 10 missiles were fired by Russia at Ukraine's Poltava region, home to the country's only oil refinery. Massive fires broke out, thousands lost power, though fortunately no casualties were reported. Russia also struck the central city of Kremenchuk and carried out fresh attacks in the Chernihiv region. So, even as leaders talk peace and their summits, the war raged on the ground. According to experts, more than 1 million people have been killed or wounded since the war began in 2022. Still, despite the progress made so far, even now, the sticking points remain. For starters, number one, Russia is yet to commit to any Zelensky-Putin meeting. And Putin continues to demand territory, including land not under Russia's control. I am talking about the eastern Donbas region of Ukraine, which has seen some of the most intense fighting of the war. It is made up of two oblasts or provinces called Donetsk and Luhansk. And as you can see from this map, a section of this region remains in Ukraine's control. For the Russians capturing Donbas, it is a price. Additionally, Trump has told Ukraine to abandon hopes of regaining Crimea or joining NATO. Trump has also backed away from insisting on a ceasefire before talks. He says negotiations can continue even while fighting does go on, which is a position welcomed by Moscow. But this is feared in Kyiv and across Europe. So how is Europe reacting? European leaders are pushing back. Germany's foreign minister says if Putin does not come to the talks table, sanctions must intensify. French President Emmanuel Macron insists that a ceasefire must come first. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte says membership for Ukraine is not on the table, but Article 5 type security guarantees can be discussed. That is sure to provoke Russia, that has repeatedly warned the West against using Ukraine as a way to attack Russia. As far as Russia's response is concerned, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has so far refused to commit to a meeting between Putin and Zelensky, but perhaps stopped short of ruling out further talks. Speaking to Russian state media on Tuesday, Lavrov was also quoted as claiming Russia never sought to seize territories. Instead, he said Russia's goal was to protect the Russians who had lived on these lands for centuries. Zelensky, meanwhile, has offered to buy $90 billion worth of U.S. weapons, including aircraft and air defense systems, in exchange for security guarantees. He's also confirmed that Ukraine is ready to meet Russia in any format, saying the question of land will be discussed directly with Putin. But with Putin still holding out and Russia intensifying attacks, the risks are enormous. Critics warn that Zelensky could be forced into painful compromises. Some fear that a bilateral meeting with Putin without broader guarantees could backfire, leaving Trump to decide whom to blame for the failed talks. For now, Trump is pushing hard for a deal within 2 weeks, and the stakes could not be higher. Europe's security, Ukraine's sovereignty, and the future of the war, they all hang in the balance.